and welcome to our virtual homecoming at Plymouth State University. Nothing makes Plymouth State University homecoming like Biederman's Deli, formerly the Cellar Pub. For 47 years, Plymouth alums have started their Friday homecoming at this establishment, has had the establishment closed, and we're looking forward to a reopening on the 4th of October with branding, with brand new branding. You see a piece of the new logo over my right shoulder. I'm honored to be here tonight with two great Panther alum, Ann Thurston to my left from the class of 1980. Ann's been at Plymouth State University we never talk about age, for a long time in many different roles. And of course, one of our most famous alums, Todd Angilly from the class of 1999. It's an honor to have both of you join us for our virtual homecoming celebration. But we're at Biederman's Pub, so when you're at Biederman's Pub, you need to have Scott Biederman pour you a beer. So Scotty, could you like pour us a beer here in one of these new glasses, please?
I could do that for you, Joe.
Look at that. So Scott's working. You see him warm up. Behind Ann's working the beer taps. That's awesome. So Todd, speaking of homecoming, last year you were up and you had the privilege to sing the National Anthem before our homecoming. I know that was a great experience for you. Tell me what that meant, and then where do you go? What's the most important thing when you come back?
Yeah, first of all, it's an honor to be here, and thank you for. I wish I had a beer myself soon enough. No, I had the privilege to come up and sing for the homecoming game. That was a great experience. And then of course, Ann and I met up and made a beeline right for Biederman's, and that was a little tough. I hadn't seen Ann in such a long time, and I had so much to say. But I also had a lot of business on hand. Eating the Balboa, so it was tough to hold the conversation with her, but we got through it.
That's awesome. Nothing beats Plymouth and Biederman's in a homecoming football game. Iconic, and love it. So Todd, all of us have that moment in our lives when we're like, oh, spit, what's going on? And I need some help. So obviously, I used to coach basketball here. I've been here for 22 years, which pales in comparison to Ann. And that's my lead into this question. Tell us a story about when you needed some help and who was there for you when you were a student here at Plymouth State University.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get through this I'm going to say as quickly as I can. It's a very emotional thing, actually. I ended up at Plymouth, and in just 1 year, in my opinion, had really planted some strong roots. I joined a fraternity that, I really enjoyed being around all those gentlemen. I got involved with the music department, had already seen a significant role in one of their productions. Everything was just going awesome, to the point where I even got a job in town working at the farmhouse. And I got a call from my mom in July, and she said that, my mom and dad, they said that they couldn't handle the payments anymore. They had paid for my first year, but they couldn't do it anymore, and that I was just going to have to come home or whatever. And I'm not going to lie to you, I just got very emotional. I'm a bigger guy. I either get very emotional, or I get very mad. So I didn't really know what to do. And there was only a couple of guys around the house, and somebody said, why don't you go down to financial aid or the bursar's office or registrar or something. So I did. I stormed in there. I probably was a little more rambunctious than usual. And I was in tears, but I was also yelling. I probably, in a day like today, probably would have gotten into a lot of trouble, but it was just a very emotional time because I didn't want to leave. And Ann came out, and as I can still see her walking out to me so calmly, and so her tone so soft and so comforting. And she invited me into her office, and we sat down, and she assured me that it was going to be all right. And I didn't know what we were going to do, but the way she said it, I instantly said to myself, yep, it's going to be all right. I believe her. And she helped me with some paperwork and with securing some funding. And I remained there for the rest of my college years. And it's interesting because Ann and I would always cross paths, but she never like I wouldn't say hold it over my head, like, and not that anybody would hold it over my head, but she just did it. She just did it. She never reminded me, or I knew who she was. I knew who she was. I knew what she did for me. She knew what she did for me, but it was it. And that's who she is. That's who she's always been. And it's been a relationship right now that's been, what are we talking, 20 years probably, right? And sometimes I'll take the blame. I lose touch, or life gets crazy, but she always will just all of a sudden just drop a text message or an email or something, and she'll hone me in, and I'll put my head down and say, geez, I got to do a better job at keeping in touch. So seeing her, she was the only person I really wanted to see at homecoming, and we stood there and hugged for a really long time, and that was a very emotional time because it was kind of that full circle moment. Because I had sung, at the football game as well while a student at Plymouth, and it was a very emotional day for me. So she's people can write stories and stuff like that, with the Bruins anthem and all that, but she's really the reason I am where I am today, because I don't know where I would have ended up had she not stepped in.
And that's what makes Plymouth special. Everybody has their special Plymouth person. And, we have, the rest of us are mere mortal compared to Ann Thurston. She's been a friend for 22 years, and I've worked with her for the past 4. And, we promise lush, but she's all of that and a bag of chips. So now, Ann, I have one question for you. What's your side of that story? When this crazy guy was going emotional Todd in his moment.
My recollection is the same as his. I wouldn't change any part of that. Obviously, he was a student who needed some help and some support at that moment, and I happened to be the person that was there.
And that's what makes Plymouth special to this day.
Yeah.
All have stories, which is awesome. So just for the audience out there, for those of us on Zoom, please, if you have questions for Todd, we have a host of questions, but please feature on Zoom, and Ann or I will read them. Please keep them, how should I say this, where we can use them on the air and not your double secret questions from all of our secrets of our time at Plymouth State University. And Todd, Patty Biederman has a little something special for you. So we saw Todd serve us a beer. So I'm going to just step out for a second and let Patty come in with your favorite Biederman's order here. This
So
is Patty
Todd,
Biederman, class of 76, everybody.
So Todd, I just thought I'd make you a little jealous with a little broccoli, bacon, cheddar salad, a turkey Swiss calabola. I know you'll be up and stop by as soon as you're up this way, but are you drooling?
We'll save that.
Yeah, that's really not nice of you.
Well, listen, I'm going to save it special for you until you get here. It's
Okay.
It's great to see you.
It's great to see you. Thank you.
I got to tell you, it smells delicious. And as
Sure
I
it does.
shared, I'm not the broccoli salad guy, probably too much green for me, but the turkey balboa, you and I have that in common.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So, and again, if you have questions for Todd, please use the Q&A feature on your Zoom and we'll get right to them.
And John, just real quick, it's funny because, living down in, I live on what they consider the North Shore. So I'm in Linfield, but, find myself in Boston here and there. And it's funny, Massachusetts will pride itself on how many colleges and universities they have. And if you take a ride down Com Ave or something, and you've got, BU and BC and all these great universities, Harvard and MIT and all that. And it's funny because I'll always ride through with a little grin on my face and say, I don't think these kids are having the same experience that, that I did. And I just felt the need to say that because it's just, it's just a unique place that to the point where I want my kids to go there. I really do. You know what I mean?
I'm a proud parent of a PSU grad from 19, my son Jacob, who actually works at the football games. You might have met him. And from the class of 80, the Biedermans from 75 and 76. One thing that stands out about Plymouth, it's great sense of place. And we do the residential college experience better than anywhere in the world. We're the safest place in the world to go to school. Even right now, as we were talking previous, knock on wood, no COVID, 0 COVID cases this week in Plymouth, at Plymouth State University. So that we're very proud of that fact. And enrollment is up at a time when Everyone else is down. So we're pretty excited about those things. And all of our alums should be really proud of Plymouth State. So obviously we all have our stories on how we got here, and Ann was the savior, if you will.
Yeah.
So how does a kid from Rhode Island find that secret sauce of the air, the mountains, that secret sauce of Plymouth? How did you from Rhode Island end up in Plymouth, New Hampshire?
Well, I wanted to play football. So I was, I was a good player, considered a good player in my high school team, but, everybody who goes to college is, the best player from their team. But, I had aspirations of playing football. But what was interesting was I applied to Plymouth State, got accepted, and then sent in my deposit, all without never stepping foot into the state of New Hampshire. There was just something about, I don't know, maybe the pictures worked. Whoever did the catalog back then was really good at their job.
It was Ann. We'll get Ann on the credit.
Okay. I don't know. I just it just felt right. And I remember coming to Plymouth my first time. I can see the guy's face who led us on the tour. I remember the gentleman from admissions, and I think you remember his name. I think his name was Dave.
David McBride.
Dave McBride.
We lost David about 10 years ago. He's the best.
He came up to me, and it wasn't until after I was on campus. Somehow I bumped into him. I was in the middle of the semester or something, and he recited everything about me. He knew everything about me. He knew where I was from and what I was doing, and he just had this great smile. But I don't know. It was just something about coming to Plymouth and seeing it, and actually feeling very good about liking it when I got here, because I said, Jesus, I gotta like it. You know what I mean? I'm already coming here and paid the money. But yeah, it was that simple, and it was right.
No, there's a lot of stories like that. That's a wonderful story, and proven again, Plymouth, Dave McBride, an icon, and
yeah.
Remember, he was phenomenal. We miss him every day, actually. So obviously everybody's interested in how you got to be the Bruins anthem singer and that journey. And obviously replacing someone that had the job for 40 some odd years.
Yeah.
That's no small feat. So kudos for that. And I've seen you in action with Ann. Tell us a little bit about how that process went for us. Everybody's curious.
Well, first of all, I got to bring it right back to Plymouth. Just let me backtrack a little bit. I don't know. I think I was in Silva one day doing whatever, and someone walked by me and said, "Hey, they need an anthem singer for the game this Saturday. Would you do it?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So that was the first one, and it stuck. I don't know what happened. They just kept calling me, and then eventually I just became like the anthem singer for Plymouth State for football. So when I got down to Boston, I got to New England Conservatory, and I was working at Fenway because I was, food service. So of course, connect that to the farmhouse. So all my skills I picked up there. So all while I'm going to school, I'm working at Fenway. And then back then it was called the Fleet Center. So I would go back and forth from Fenway to the Fleet Center because it was really accommodating to a school schedule. And it was interesting because I would go out and listen to Renee every night. I would leave the kitchen for 10, 15 minutes so I could hear him sing. And then, years went on, and he was just a fixture, just a part of everything. And I transferred to a different part of the arena, and by now we're at the Boston Garden. And I want to say it was about 5 years ago, they needed fill-ins because Renee would take maybe 10 or 12 games off a season, so they needed to have people just in queue ready to go. And I for a couple of 2-3 seasons, I get a phone call, "Hey, can you sing such and such date?" And that's it. I would sing, and that was good. And then I think I caught their eye. That's what they tell me. Vegas had just come on to the scene, expansion team, and my club where I work is inside the arena. So it's a Thursday night hockey game against Vegas, first time against Vegas, the new team. The place is packed. Thursday is notoriously a really, really busy hockey night for the Bruins. And, there's got to be 300 people. The club is packed to the gills, and I hear someone screaming my name. And I look over and there's this woman and she's surrounded by like a dozen security officers and Boston police and everybody. And she's screaming at me. And I was like, oh, this, I don't think this isn't good. And she said, Todd, she's screaming, you need to sing. And I said, what are you talking about? And she's like, we don't have time to talk. Let's go. And I looked at the game clock and it was 6:45 and game starts at 7. So I said, well, I got to go tell my boss. And she's like, no, let's go. So they had everything cleared out. The elevators were being held. They hustled me down. I caught my breath. They put a microphone in my hand, pushed me out onto the carpet. I sang. And then back then, Renee was the only one who had the organ accompaniment. So I just walked out and sang. I came off the ice and I said, can someone tell me what just happened? And they said, well, the person who was supposed to sing tonight didn't show up and we knew you were here. So and I said, all right, well, I got to get back to work. And I turned around and went back up. And of course, walking into the club and people were like, what just, I said, listen, I don't even know what happened. So don't ask me what happened because I don't know. But no, there was, and then however many years later, 2 years ago, he announces his retirement. They have an audition. I went through the channels just like everybody else, submitted videos. Then they picked 52 of us to sing. And not that I wasn't taking it seriously, but it was a fun night because it was there in the garden and you were allowed to bring someone with you. I brought my wife and I said, well, let's parlay this into dinner. We'll get a sitter and not only will I do an audition, but we can slide over to the North End and get something to eat. And so we thought we'd be out of there pretty early because, my last name's starting with A. And so they came out and they said, we're going to go in alphabetical order. And my wife kind of pumped her fist a little bit, excited. And this was at 5:30 and they said, by first name. And of course, T. So out of 52 people, I went 51st. And I'm going to tell you, the National Anthem is one of my favorite songs, if not the favorite song ever. But 50 times in a row is pretty much, you know what I mean? You've heard every version you can hear. But no, I went down and sang it, and that was it. And then what they did was they they picked a pool of singers, rotated them through, and then I think everybody we saw the playoffs, and they never let you know what was going on. I would just get calls for each game, and that was kind of nerve wracking. But I obviously did the playoffs. And it was just it just started spinning out of control. And I just kept my head down and tried to enjoy every bit of it because I don't know if this is going to be it. So every chance to take a picture with somebody, I took it. Every chance I had to just look at something or touch the ice or something, I took it because I didn't know if it was going to be there again. And that was fun too, meeting all movie stars and things like that, and bringing my kids with me and letting them meet people. And so it was it. And then I was driving on 95 one night about 9 o'clock at night, and a guy called me from the Bruins and he said, we're going to name you as the official Bruins anthem singer, but can you keep it quiet for 2 weeks because we want to announce you on Fox News? And I said, why didn't you just tell me 2 weeks from now? I can't do it. So I got home. I told my wife. I told her she had to keep her mouth shut. So of course we didn't tell my mother-in-law because that was going to be bad. And
we all, you too, huh?
Yeah. And then they announced it on Fox News, and then it went from there. So it's still kind of going. Of course, COVID is kind of thrown a wrench in the spokes, but still it's and actually what was really cool about that, when they announced me on, okay, here we go. Sorry, I'm talking a lot here, but this was actually really cool. Well, so you're going to like this. And you probably know this anyways, but this was the coolest part. I'm sitting there at Fox 25 News. I got to be there for like 7 in the morning. So of course I got to be up at, 4 or 5, whatever. And I'm talking with Gene Levanchi, who I've been watching for years because he used to be a sportscaster in Boston. So I've seen his face and I like watching the news. So he and I are talking in between breaks. And he tells me that his son's the quarterback for Plymouth State because I tell him I'm on my way up to Plymouth to sing the homecoming game. So they announced me officially on Thursday. And then I got to sing at the homecoming game on Saturday. And then Gene and I bumped into each other at the game. So it was pretty cool.
It always happens.
No, it's not. It's them, I think.
Is this you?
Yeah.
I think it's funny. Look at his face.
Mm.
Hi, we're back. The technical difficulties. So Todd, that was a wonderful story.
Did I get through it or?
You got through a lot of that. That's truly amazing. So I have a question. So when they first grabbed you, did you sing like in your bartender outfit?
Oh yeah, no. So back then, they call them the bull gang. Those are the guys that kind of take care of things. Let's just leave it at that, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. So they wear these jackets that have the Bruin, emblem on it, and of course say Waste Management on them as well. So I didn't have anything to wear. So some poor guy was in the corner. I'll never forget it. He's got his head down. I don't even think he spoke English, and he was like sweeping the floor. But he was like the one guy that looked big enough to have a jacket to fit me. And some guy ran over and ripped the jacket right off him and threw it on me. So when I walked out onto the ice, I don't know why I'm there. I'm still trying to catch my breath, and all I can smell is gas and trash. So, but you do what you can with what you got, I guess, right?
So along those lines, you said you enjoyed every bit of it. As I tell my own kids, enjoy your 15 minutes of fame. Who knows what tomorrow's going to bring? So
right.
Kudos to you for doing that. So Maria Milliken asked us to ask you, who was the most famous person you met at TD Garden?
Oh, wow. So when there's been all the athletes, so a lot of the local athletes have come through. Everybody from Edelman to Gronkowski. I literally bumped into him. He actually bumped into me. I think he was like trying to get somewhere, and we collided. It was awesome.
He went down, right?
Yeah. He's a big boy. There's some. I got it on my. It was the coolest thing was. They would have these flag wavers. So I'm gonna say Bill Belichick. Although I met people like Jeremy Roenick and the people from NBC and all those people, the ESPN guys that come through, Lenny Clark, a lot of those just those local celebrities. So I guess I'll give her kind of the answer she was looking for. It was Bill Belichick was great to meet because he was the flag waver one night. And they weren't being rude about it, but anytime there was a flag waver, so, Bobby Orr, Busick, Bork, all those guys, they would always come off out of the stands and come walk right by me, and they'd shake my hand, and we'd exchange pleasantries and take a picture. But with Belichick, they wanted to clear the area. They wanted him to just go straight to the elevator and go down. And that was it. So I just stood there minding my own business, and he comes out of the stands. He just got done waving the flag, and he's got this like security guy with him, and he like locks eyes on me from like 20 feet away. And I was like, so I put my head down. Like, I was like, I'm not looking at him, you know? And then I looked up and he's still looking at me, and the security guy is trying to steer him off the other way. And he doesn't push him, but he kind of moves the security guy out of the way and steps right towards me. And he shakes my hand and he said, "All right, Todd, I warmed them up for you. Get out there and get the job done." And I was like, what? You know what I mean? So
That's the best. You got the DYJ. You got to do your job from the greatest coach in history.
You know what I
Nothing's
mean?
better. It's over.
And all I could say was, I couldn't come up with, you know, you say right there, there's those times, you know, the 15 minutes of fame, like that opportunity where you get to say something awesome back. And all I could say was, "Yes, coach." Right?
You showed DYJ. You know, you did it. Yes,
That's
coach.
it. So that was a special night. It was just, I think more of just meeting all these people than being able to not brush them off, but move them off to my kids and have my kids meet them. And then really quickly, Bobby Orr came up to me and he said, "Hey, can I get a picture with you?" And I said, "Actually, I was wondering if I can get a picture with you." And he said, "Oh, absolutely." And I got him with my daughter. And she stood there, she smiled, and then he walked away and she kind of just, you know, whatever. And I said, "Do you realize who you just had a picture with?" And she's like, "Is he famous?" And I was like, "Oh boy." And I was like,
We've all been there. Like the time my daughter asked me who Larry Bird was, you know, I like lost my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a true story. So she's probably cringing watching.
Yeah.
So the good news is from we were the ones that couldn't see you, but the audience heard your story. So tech support has shared. That was awesome. And we have another question. And do you have a question for Todd from our crowd, from our audience?
Sam Weisel has written to ask how you manage double duty behind the bar and still keep focus when you go down to sing the national anthem.
So I have to kind of make it all work together. So my club opens 2 hours before game time. So I'm just doing my normal thing, and they usually hit the ice for their opening their skate, open skate, whatever, about 6:35, 6:40. And then at that point, when I hear them come onto the ice, I'll ask all my people around me, you know, is everybody good? Does anybody need refills or whatever? And then I leave about 6:40, 6:45. I leave. I got just enough time. I'll go to the bathroom. I change up, get into my suit, and get down to the ice. So I lose about an hour at the bar. So it definitely costs me money to sing, but that's an easy trade for me. And then just get down there and kind of all of a sudden just, you know, like Sam was saying, just kind of switch gears, get in the moment. I sit in this little draped off area and right next to the Zambonis. And then when it's time to sing, walk out, sing, get them fired up, and then back to the elevator and back to work. And but you know, you know, some people say, do you feel like you don't get any time to enjoy it? But going back up to the club and getting the energy up there, and you know, whether they're people that are new to the club or a lot of them are season ticket holders, so they're just my regulars, and getting back up to my quote unquote family and you know, just enjoying the rest of the game, and that's that. So it's been a really fun transition. Not easy, fun.
No, good for you. And again, enjoying every moment. And
yeah,
you're the pride. Plymouth State work ethic, availability. You were there. You said yes. That's what our students today are still doing. That's an awesome story. So I will share this. Ann and I had the privilege December to have you for you to host us at the club, and you did a great pour. And Scott Biederman did a great pour. So it's a tie between Biederman and me. Two favorite bartenders. Scott's got more experience. A little upset here in the background. So it's a tie, and the Biederman's new logo. So when everybody's back in Plymouth, please come and support our very dear alums.
Well, you got cooler cups up there.
Cooler cups. Well, exactly. So Ann and I talk about this in the office, and we don't have an answer, so we'll ask our question. Do you also do the Celtics, or is it just the Bruins for the bartending? I know the anthem's different.
Yeah, no, still the same thing for the Celtics. So yeah, no, that's obviously not easier, but I don't have to worry about getting changed or anything like that. So I get to work all the way through. But yeah, it's the same setup, same thing. It's just a different team on the floor.
So that's good to know. And you know, So obviously the Celtics are in game 5 tonight, and we're a little conflicted because I don't know if folks are aware of this, but Dan Craig from Chelmsford,
Right.
Plymouth State class of 203, played for me here at Plymouth, is the associate coach of the Miami Heat. And he just interviewed for the head job at Chicago Bulls and didn't get it. In fact, they just had their 3rd child, so he was late to the bubble. He had to get commissioner's permission to come late to the bubble. So we're a little conflicted with tonight's game in my household. A little, you know.
I understand.
We're right. We're very excited for our alum, Dan Craig, and his opportunity, just like we're excited for Todd and his opportunity, and all the Plymouth alums doing so many great things in the world. So I do want to ask you a question. I know you were a young pup, 9/11, 2 years out of college. You have a very special story about the National Anthem in 9/11. I'd love for everybody, for you to share that, because not everybody might not know that story.
Yeah, so I was, at that time, I worked for the Red Sox from 99 to 2002. I worked in their executive, they had a dining room that served both the media and the executive staff. So I was there quite regularly, and actually would sing quite regularly. There was a person in the front office who had some music background and found out that I sang. So I would sing actually quite a few games for the Red Sox, and that was always a real treat. So I got asked to sing the first game back after 9/11, and wasn't really sure how to approach that for the people who, well, I guess any line of work, it doesn't have to be just, you know, music and all that. You know, you have to take these opportunities when you're in the public spotlight to promote yourself. You know, people aren't going to know who you are, or rather remember who you are. And of course, this is before, you know, social networking and all that. So you know, if you had an opportunity to sing public or sing for a team or something, you had to, you know, find a way to get some type of promotion, especially if you wanted to, you know, progress. But it was interesting because they were asking me to be interviewed and all that, and I refused to. I didn't feel it was the right thing to do. What made it real special was the fact that they asked me to do it. My father is a veteran. Both my parents that's where I get my my sense of patriotism and love for the anthem and all that. It was always a special song in my house. So I called down to my brothers in Rhode Island, and I said, listen, you got to go over, because my mom, especially my mom, but both my parents, but religiously would watch the Red Sox. So I knew that they'd be watching. So I said, listen, you got to get over there and don't tell them, but kind of be there in case, you know, it gets to them, you know. And so hearing how my parents reacted was very special. So I would sporadically, because I still had friends at Plymouth, and of course, always wanting to go back, because the only reason I left Plymouth was I was asked to audition at New England. Otherwise, I probably would still be there and not be being interviewed by you. I'd probably be pouring you beers. So I went up, and one of another favorite of mine was Dean Hage. And I happened to bump into him while I was up there, and he was telling me he was out working in the yard or in the garden or something like that. And he said that his wife kind of came running out of the house, and she was in tears, and she kept saying, Todd Angilly. And he said, I thought the worst. I didn't know what was going on. You know, I didn't this and that. And she goes, you know, and he said, she pulled me into the house, and you were on the TV singing. And I think, you know, what, you know, that was obviously, again, I think social media was starting to come about, or at least, you know, cell phones and stuff. But I think that's when it really started to, you know, it was, you know, I was connecting back to my people at Plymouth, and then my parents down in Rhode Island, and all around. It was just another opportunity where I felt I was representing. And I don't know, that was just, it was a horrible time, and but an extreme honor to be asked to kind of help bring baseball back in, because that was, you know, like I said, the first game back. So definitely an experience to remember.
That's awesome. I know Dick Hage speaks of that story fondly. So I'd be remiss, and Patty Biederman also just whispered this in my ear. The singing's wonderful, and we love you, but you still have to support your family. Have a real job.
Yeah.
And I know when Patty's nonstop. She's told, what does he do? We're going to get to that, Patty. So I know when you came to Plymouth, you wanted to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And now I believe you work for Massachusetts Department of Corrections, and now you get to teach a little bit. So share with everybody that and how meaningful that is for you with your new role that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, no. So that was my aunt was a retired music teacher. My uncle was a retired music teacher. It was what I wanted to do. I was in a lot better shape when I was at Plymouth. I wanted to be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger, kindergarten cop. I wanted to teach elementary music so bad. Even the times getting to go up. Geez, I can't believe that I can't remember his name. He taught intro to education. And he lined us up with going up and helping out at the elementary school, and that was just a wonderful experience. But so I left and went to the conservatory, New England Conservatory, and was working on my master's in education. And at that point, finishing out and school loans and things like that. So I started dating my wife, and her brother was a probation officer. So he had, it looks like we're kind of frozen up here. I want to make sure.
Difficulties, but we're back.
Okay.
This is also recorded.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah. So
Reed Milligan asked another question.
So my future brother-in-law was a probation officer. So he said, why don't you get into probation? And I said, okay, that might be, it's a state job. I could work with the kids, get into juvenile probation. And I didn't actually, I just went to adult probation. But somewhere along the line, I got involved with helping our population acquire employment. And there was a certain type of curriculum that went along with that. And I got involved with the Department of Justice and specifically the National Institute of Correction. And what I collaborated with one of the local sheriff's departments previous to going to the state prison system. And we developed a curriculum that helps prepare our population to return to work. But it isn't. It's more intensive, where we identify their skills and interests and help them set a career path. And to the person who doesn't work with these with these people, that probably comes off as a really like Pollyanna, fairy tale type thing. But it's interesting, especially within the past 10 years to now, there's been a big paradigm shift that employers want to employ our people and the types of skills they're receiving behind the wall. So we're able to connect them to jobs where they can feel a sense of, success with it, and they're doing something that they like. So that way the opportunity for retention is higher. And it's a public safety issue. If they're working, they're providing for their families, they're not getting into trouble. And it's all evidence-based. I'm sure that's a big part of your curriculums right now. That was a big thing. And when this all started for me, everything went to evidence-based. So all the evidence, all the statistics show that an individual who's working is less likely to pick up new charges. So that's a big chunk of my time. And then, doing the garden and I sing at a church, and then various things. And then, obviously now going out and doing a lot of performing and things like that. So just keeping busy and enjoying it,
You've got that great Panther work ethic. I know you're a family man, and you're obviously working hard to support your family and what the story you just told us about your real job. And that's awesome, helping people. And nothing's better than getting out there and helping people, giving the second chance, getting the first chance. So a credit to you for that. So along your family, I know you're like all of us love our families. Maria asked me, is your daughter, who you said is 9, was it? Is she going to go to Plymouth State? Is she coming to Plymouth State? We're already trying to recruit, keep it in the family.
She came home one day last year and she said, Dad, I think I want to be a teacher. And I got all excited. And I said, well, who has a really good education department? So,
I love it.
I hope they do. I hope they do. Obviously they can go wherever they want. But I don't know. I just, knowing the experience that I had and the potential for, them to have that same experience, to be up in that area. It's funny being from a city environment where I came from, I kind of thought I knew it all or had experienced it at all. But I grew so much from that first day I arrived on campus. And then my first roommate was from Laconia, and then I had my first roommate in the fraternity house was from Caribou, Maine, and he took me home with him for the weekend one time, and I just and then on the flip side, we tried to take him down towards the Boston area, and he kind of got a little nervous because he had never, I'm not going to say his name because in case I don't want to embarrass him, but he had never seen more than 2 lanes of traffic. So when 93 opened up the 4 lanes, he got a little nervous, a lot nervous, where he pulled the car over and he refused to drive anymore because he didn't know what he was doing. So it was just,
Well, Todd, that's why you always see me with Dan at the game, because she doesn't like, she's from White Mountain. I'm from New York. Sorry. Ann likes me driving in the city for the exact same reason.
Yeah. I get it. No, so so we'll see. At one hand you'll say, well, they're 9-7, so we got some time, but 9-7 happened like yesterday. So before I know it, they're going to be ready to go. So.
Yep. And Todd, we still have the same great, caring faculty members at Plymouth State now. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of those folks who made a difference for you?
Yeah, I'd love to. And that's another thing I think is, we get there, you get to college, you determine a major, and then you kind of, you're not stuck, but you're or I won't even use the word confined, but you're doing the bulk of your work in that, for me, it was in Silver. I was most of the time, in Silver, which whether it was, performing groups or a class or whatever it was. But I have a lot of great memories of those gen ed professors. Some I can't really remember their names. I don't know why she stands out. It was my most horrible subject, but Algebra 2 with her last name was Kelly. I just went up to her one day after class and I said, listen, I'm going to do my best, but I don't, and she was just so great to talk to. And you feel like, you're confined to the music building. You're going over, to Boyd or wherever you're going, and you're like out of your realm. But and then there was I don't know if she's a professor or what, Donahue. I took what's that?
Kate Donahue.
Was it Kate? Yeah. And I took a class with her. It was like anthropology or something like that. And I was like, this is the coolest class ever. I don't know. I remember some great teachers and some great, but I do have to say I'd be remiss. Of course, Dr. Perkins, Dan Perkins, he was actually the individual. He was the one who auditioned me. So he was the first person I met in the music department. Dr. Santori came along towards the end of my time there. But what a great composer. And he actually provided me with some music to take with me down to the conservatory. And I was able to kind of debut it or whatever in some of my singing labs that I was able to do. Dr. Arecki was, Dr. Kathleen Arecki was probably, I'm just going to say it because it is what it is. At the time, I felt like she didn't understand me. I felt like she was not mean, but she was kind of like my father. She expected the best, and when I didn't come at it with my best, she'd hold me accountable. She didn't let me sway away. I was one of the scholarship singers, and she didn't let me sit back and ride on that. And there were things that she would say to me that I would think to myself, what does she know? She's up here in New Hampshire. She doesn't know anything about this stuff. And I never had the opportunity to tell her because unfortunately she passed away. But I never had the opportunity to tell her that she really did understand me, and that everything she ever told me was absolutely true, and everything that she prepared me for absolutely happened. She knew it all. And I think that's where there's the misconception that you've got a school that's, way up in New Hampshire or wherever, that they're out of touch or whatever. that is absolutely the opposite. And, you know, I just know a lot, well, from what I read from the alumni, you know, publications, but even the people that I sang with and played with, they're just doing some great things with some awesome people. And I think that's another reason why I want my kids to go there, because there's that safety and that ability to kind of learn a lot about yourself, but then there's also that opportunity and that push from the faculty to make you work your hardest. And that's what she did. And I really do regret never having the opportunity to tell her that. But knowing her, I think she knew. I'd like to think that she's looking down and she's, you know, I don't know, but she was really special. She was a really special person.
She's special. There's a scholarship in her memory for music students, so she will live on forever.
That's awesome.
University. Yeah, phenomenal. So for everybody that's tuned in, I do apologize for all our technical difficulties, and please, thank you for bearing with us. And this will be rebroadcast on Plymouth State's Alumni Association's Facebook Live page. It is homecoming weekend. While we can't be together, please post all your pictures of green and white. Sienna and I wearing our green and white T-shirts. Get out and think Panthers, support the Panthers by logging on and watching some of our green and white games. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody next year back on campus. Todd, you had mentioned about you want your kids to go. Scott and Patty Biederman to my left. Their son Brian is an 07 graduate of Plymouth State. He's also in our Athletic Hall of Fame. And he's an entrepreneur with that true spirit.
Wow.
So Todd, I really just want to thank you for your time. I know you bleed green. You'll do anything we ask, and I know you'll do anything Ann Thurston asks.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's, you know, keep myself with great people. And we'd like to thank Travis back with the technical support. It's been difficult. So Travis, we appreciate it. Brian Gagman, another Plymouth State alum, who's our Associate Director of Alumni Relations. Scott and Patty Biederman, obviously Ann Thurston, my coach, Brandon Glasheen, and all the Panther Nation. Have a great year and go Panthers. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Todd. You were awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.